Welcome. My name is Christopher Paisley. I'm a Philadelphia public school teacher, and this is my YouTube channel, Inside White Fragility. Today, I'd like to talk about how Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream has been turned on its head. Yes, today is MLK Day. Happy MLK Day. But unfortunately, in 2021, the ideas and philosophies behind Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. have been flipped around in the world of anti-racism, unfortunately. Instead of judging people by the content of their character, we now obsess over the color of skin and identity. Race, religion, gender, and sexuality are now the most important thing that people look at instead of the genuine person underneath the cover of the book. Now, to talk about this, I'd like to actually promote a new video that came out today by Prager University. Anybody who does not know about Prager University, I suggest going on the website to prageru.com. It was started by Dennis Prager. It's a great resource. It's got something called 5-minute videos. They're educational videos for students. And a man named Max Eden just put out a video today. It was just released on PragerU today. It already has 58,000 views. It's a great video, and again, I want to plug that today. Max Eden talks about, the video is actually called "There Is No Apolitical Classroom," where he talks about how Dr. King's his dream has been flipped around and turned on its head through anti-racism. So before I get into the video, I would just like to state the fact that Max Eden actually endorsed my book, which is called Exploring White Fragility, Debating the Effects of Whiteness Studies on America's Schools. And I'd like to first just read Max's endorsement of my book, and this is just a shortened version because he wrote a pretty long endorsement, but this is what is on the back book jacket of the book. So this is Max Eden. Paisley provides a thorough exposition and measured critique of the new ideology that has colonized the minds of America's school administrators and threatens to wreak havoc on our students, especially students of color. It's a must-read for any parent or teacher who is concerned about the soul of the next generation. Again, that is Max Eden, education policy expert and senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute. So I'm going to kind of stop talking now, and I'm going to promote this new Prager University video. Again, I don't own the rights to the video, and I just want to use this as a way, as an education, for educational fair use, to plug Prager University. I encourage anybody watching this to go to prageru.com, watch the video. You can even subscribe to PragerU or make a donation. It's a great resource. So I'm going to do that. And again, I don't own the rights to this, but you have to watch this excellent condensed 5-minute video by Max Eden that talks about anti-racism and the toxic movement being presented to children today.
Do you know what's going on in your kid's school? If not, now would be a good time to take a look. Here's what you're likely to find. According to the education establishment, the purpose of public education is no longer just to teach the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. It is to awaken students to the fact that they live in a country that has been, remains, and will probably always be racist. Here's how the American Association of School Administrators, AASA, recently described its mission. At a time of obscene inequities, merely trying to compensate is not enough. AASA's work must go further and become actively anti-racist. Being anti-racist sounds simple and laudable. Treat everyone the same. A version of the golden rule. What could be wrong with that? Nothing. Except that's not what the educational elite means by anti-racism. Anti-racism, in its current formulation, does not mean equal treatment of others. It is an all-encompassing ideology that demands that white people accept that their behavior is either implicitly or explicitly racist, and has been for at least 400 years. The catch-22 here is that to say you're not racist only proves how racist you really are. That is, you are so racist you don't even know it. And if this accusation upsets you, that's proof of your white fragility. Education Week's Classroom Q&A blog tells teachers that, as Ibram X. Kendi, the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, would say, There is no not racist. There is only racist and anti-racist. Your silence favors the status quo and the violently oppressive harm it does to black and brown folk everywhere. What Kendi is saying is, if you don't voice active agreement with him, you are a racist. And if you treat people equally regardless of race, you're also a racist. Anti-racists embrace racial discrimination, as long as it's done on their terms. As Kendi has said, the only remedy to racist discrimination is anti-racist discrimination. The only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. I understand how wrong this might sound. It turns the Martin Luther King concept of racial equality on its head. But that's exactly the point. Lorena Germain, who chairs the Committee on Anti-Racism for the National Council of the Teaching of English, makes this clear. At the height of the recent urban unrest, Germain wrote that arsonists should serve as a model for teachers. Educators, what are you burning? Your white-centered curriculum? The school's racist policies? Your racist-ass principal? The funding for police and schools versus counselors? What are you burning? Germain's call to commit arson may have been metaphorical, but her call to get rid of the traditional school curriculum is not. A lesson plan created by the New York City Culturally Responsive Education Working Group, Transforming Our Public Schools, a guide to culturally responsive and sustaining education, tells teachers that the whole Western canon is rife with horrible stories and atrocities of who we are as people of color. For their part, the National Committee on Social Studies has promised to flood our children with countermessages until there is no racial inequality in economic opportunity, no racial inequality in education, no racial inequality in incarceration rates, and no brutality from police and others. If that sounds to you a lot more like political indoctrination than education, you would be right. New York State now encourages teachers to incorporate current events, even if they are controversial, into instruction, and to utilize tools that encourage students to engage with difficult topics, power, privilege, access, inequity, constructively. We might all wish that as cultural and political polarization reaches into more and more areas of American life, schools could remain an apolitical oasis where children can learn to read, write, and develop skills of socialization. But if that's what you want for your children, then just know that anti-racist educators think that you are part of the problem. According to a writer for Teaching Tolerance, a project of the Southern Poverty Law Center, anti-racist educators recognize that schools today are doing exactly what they were built to do in this country: exclude, silence, erase, promote white supremacy. An anti-racist approach to schooling could very well mean an ending to schools as we know them. That is certainly true. The National Council on the Teaching of English insists there is no apolitical classroom. The educational elite has a very clear lesson plan in mind for your children. If you're okay with it, you can send Johnny and Jennifer off to school with a glad heart. If you're not okay with it, better talk to the principal, or get ready with a plan B. I'm Max Eden, Senior Fellow at the Manhattan Institute for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
So there's the video by Max. Max does a great job. Again, the video is called There Is No Apolitical Classroom. It's on Prager University. Go to prageru.com. Check it out for yourself. And again, please consider purchasing my book, Exploring White Fragility, Debating the Effects of Whiteness Studies on America's Schools, so we can kind of push back against this misguided and toxic campaign of critical race theory and anti-racism.